right, Lee Teat, Friday main event, Thursday edition. This is the first for us. I tried to remember the other day, Lee. I think it's 6 years in a row that I've done a Friday football game. It's the first time in 6 years that we've moved it. But we had some extenuating circumstances that
Sure.
forced us to move it to Thursday. But I think it's going to be a pretty cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to it. We got some good coaches lined up tonight. We're going to get things started with your good friend, Lebanon head coach Chuck Gentry. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
Hey, Coach. Uh,
Hey, Lee.
Listen, man, we want to get the important stuff out of the way first. How's your dad doing? I know he's been a little bit under the weather there and been in the hospital. And I was telling Mike earlier, he's a pillar of the community up there amongst the ministry and the non-ministry alike. So I just wanted to check with you and see how he's doing.
Well, he's doing okay. He's back home, little
Good.
weak. Of course, he's torn. My niece is the homecoming queen at Smith County High School tomorrow night, and then we're playing at home too. So he is going to miss both of those, kind of sitting in the chair. But of course, he's going to be able to watch both of them on video. So he's still a football fan at heart for sure.
That's right.
Well, Coach, getting back to football, Lebanon, I think they thought they had hired the man. They had Sam Harp in there in 2013. I think the guy had won 7 state titles at Kentucky. After 4 years and a 6-36 record, he threw in the towel. What was it about this program that made you think you could have some success getting things turned around?
Well, I'm a Middle Tennessee guy. Played high school football at Smith County High School. Also played college football at Cumberland University, and been around Lebanon football a long time. And my wife is from Lebanon, and I have a lot of connections in the community and with coaching buddies around the place. And
Right.
I just thought it would be a good fit for me. Thought I could put a good staff together, and I have put a good staff together. And I just thought I think we could do some things and try it, and it's been good.
Well, Coach, Lebanon had not earned a playoff trip since 2007 until last year. We don't count the Super 32 experiment because all the teams in that class made the postseason. But how great was it for your program to finally earn a postseason game last year, especially in your first season there?
Well, it was exciting to, as I talk about it, win our way in, and it was, good for the kids. They were happy to be on a 5-5 record and felt like that we had accomplished something. Of course, it was a step-by-step process, and we were happy to get in the playoffs. Just got the lucky draw of playing Oakland, and that's a good football team, good football program. You guys know well about that, and we were happy to be there and compete, and we're trying to do the same thing this year. Maybe take a next step.
Well, speaking of next step, that's exactly where I was headed, Coach. I think it was 2004. You got to go all the way. You got to go that far back to get the last Blue Devil win in the postseason. I think that was against Coffee County in '04. Is that indeed the next step for the program? Is to get that playoff victory?
Well, yeah, we talked about it as a coaching staff, and sit down with my seniors and my leadership council and talked about it. Our goal was to try to, our fan base and our community would have loved to have a home playoff game, and that's not 100% out of the realm. But right now we're just trying to get in the playoffs. But we feel like we'll probably hopefully can win our way in and can. We'll have to travel again, but of course, you want to get in the playoffs, and then last year. Oakland was pretty good. We want to be competitive in the playoffs, and definitely, you have to win that first game to even talk about the second round and the next step. And so, yes, the goal is to get in and be competitive and have a chance there in the fourth quarter to win the game for sure.
Right.
Mike Motor and Lee Teat joined by phone with Lebanon head coach Chuck Gentry.
Well, Coach, looking at the season so far, you guys are sitting at 5-2 with your only losses being a couple of 4-point losses to, we think, some outstanding squads in Mount Juliet and Hendersonville. I think turnovers might have been a little bit of the issue in some of those games. But other than taking better care of the ball, Coach Gentry, what do you feel like your team needs to improve on as we close in on the postseason?
Well, we've hung our hats on playing defense, playing with good effort, and technique. But in both of those games, we gave up some long runs. You know, we can't play good defense for 19, 19 or 20 plays and then give up a 60-yard run. You know, we're just trying to be more consistent on the defensive side of the ball, and on offense, you know, trying to we feel like we're gelling and coming together, and hopefully, you know, at some point we will, you know, be better on offense instead of sputtering. You know, put together some drives, be more consistent, and at least end each game, each drive with a kick.
Coach, you guys got a struggling Coffee County team coming in tomorrow night. I think before hitting that bye week next week, I think the Red Raiders actually won this match last year. How do you feel the teams match up based on what you saw in film study this week?
Well, you know, you know, we went down to Coffee County last year on fall break, and they had a decent football team, and Alante Taylor, you know, a good football player who's starting
Right.
at corner in the SEC now with the with Tennessee, and we didn't play well. And you know, we feel like that we got to rectify that situation a little bit this week. And you know, we haven't talked a lot about Coffee County. It's been more about what we can control and about us. You know, they ran last year. They were in a 40 front on defense and come out in the 50. And we didn't adjust well, and so this year they've been in 50 front. So we prepared for everything. You know, just to make sure that we don't get surprised and adjust well. So we really talked more about us and the things that we've talked about and playing all three phases and playing them well, and just trying to do put our best foot forward, and that's what we try to do just about every week. You know, it's a little different some weeks when you face different teams and you know wing tees and options and
Right.
different stuff. But when you get a spread team or an I team, it's a little easier to focus on yourself and try to worry about the technique more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, senior Chandler Cricht's done a great job, I think, leading your offense this year. But you know, the lifeblood of a program is building depth. Have you been able to get any reps in for your younger guys this season?
Yeah, you know, Chandler, he, as I always said, he's the straw that stirs the drink. He's a great athlete, and you know, and offensively, we usually go as he goes, and he's made some big plays for us. And you know, we've had times where we played other kids at quarterback. Brees Copas has took some snaps at quarterback, and you know, against everybody.
Good.
And so we've done that. But you know, it was a real positive Friday night to be able to have a running clock and to be able to get some of our twos into the game in the opportunity to do that and be able to run them on the field underneath the lights in the good uniforms, and it's not a JV situation where you know where we can't walk out on the field or we can't stop it and talk and correct things. You know, they're underneath the lights, and they got to play against Antioch and didn't do a very good job, and then they got to play the other night and helped us helped us score a touchdown, get another turnover, and then also kept them out of the end zone.
Well, speaking of young guys, Coach, sophomore DeQuante Shannon leads the team in rushing this year. How important has his development been to the success so far?
Well, DeQuante is a phenomenal athlete. You know, it's easy to turn around and hand him the ball, and you know, you have a few guys block for him and tell him to go. But he has matured a lot during the season. You know, we've been working on running to the right hole. You know, not trying to hit the home run every play. You know, just because you cut it back. You know, Friday night he cut the first one back, scored on about a 70-yard run. So the next one he cut back. And if he'd have stayed play side, he might have had another 70-yard run. But that linebacker was in the backside at that time. You know, just a maturation of seeing it and doing it over and over and over again. And then ball security. You know, he's a young guy, and you know, you know, 6A football. There's a lot of bullets flying, and you got to have two hands on the
Right.
football
That's right.
sometimes because you never know where that hat's coming from or where
Right.
that strip's coming from. And he's learned that sometimes the hard way. And also being such a good athlete to try to understand you're not going to hit the home run every time. Sometimes a 3-yard gain is a good run. And then, you know, just the same way with Chandler and him always, you know, just a punt is not always a bad thing.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a process with our whole team, you know, had to go through the maturation process and getting better and seeing those situations. And some situations you can reproduce in practice, and some you're only going to get on Friday nights.
Lebanon head coach Chuck Gentry joining us here by phone on the Friday main event.
Coach Zion Logue, who's committed to play at Georgia next season, is a game changer, no doubt. And anytime you have a kid that draws a double team and sometimes a triple team on every down, is going to make everybody around him better. Do you attest some of that to being able to hold your opponents to 11 points per game?
Oh yes, we have our defense tailored. I mean, I'm only, I'm not too smart, but I am smart enough to know when I've got 6'6", 290 right there, that's something special. And I was fortunate enough to be able to travel with him to most of the SEC schools this summer, to camps and stuff, and listen to coaches that know a lot more than I do and get paid a whole lot more than I do, talk about him and what he can do and how bright of a future he has. But it's nice when they single back him and he's able to make a play, or it's also nice when he's double teamed or triple teamed or whatever, and those linebackers are free. And our two inside linebackers, Xavier Mills and Parker Burch, love him, and Grayson Gregory also, our nose guard, because they eat up 4 blockers a lot of times and let them be scot-free, and it's easy to play linebacker that way. But Zion is he's a good, humble young man, and he's getting better every day at the game of football. And he is a leader on our defense and on our football team, and we're glad to have him, and we're proud of how he affects the game, just not by stat wise. Like Friday night, he didn't have a lot of stats, but he was very critical in the shutout part of of taking up blocks and pinching every play and taking the dive process in the triple option offense.
Coach, you guys finish up with Wilson Central and Rossview. I think a Wilson Central victory wraps up the playoff spot for you guys. I think that Rossview game way is kind of shaping up. That's probably going to be the game to see who avoids Oakland this year. Is that and of course, the downside of that is if you avoid Oakland, in all likelihood, you got to go to Blackman. It's just it's a tough situation. Is that kind of way you guys see it playing out?
Yeah, and probably so. Like I said, we take it week by week. But I'm not going to give you coach speak. Yes, I've looked ahead, and yes, I know how big those next 2 games are.
Right.
Region games. We got to win our way into the playoffs. We got to beat Wilson Central, who's a county rivalry. School broke away from Lebanon High School, and it's going to be a big game for us. Records regardless, throw it out the window, and it'll be a dogfight. And then Rossview, we went up to Rossview last year, left, and it was about 60 in Lebanon, and got up there and it was 34 degrees, raining sideways and blowing. Their assistant coach Justin Harrell, who is a former Green Bay Packer, said, "I ain't never been up 6 minutes going Lambeau Field."
Oh Lord!
And so that tells you something about how the weather was. And
right.
we look forward to both those 2 games and seeing where they play. And like I said, we in the playoffs, we want to win our way in, and then we feel like no matter who we play, we're going to line up. We feel like we'll have a chance to compete and see where they may, and and whoever it is whoever it is, and we're just going to take it one game at a time, see what happens.
Well, Coach Gentry, you've done a heck of a job restoring the pride in that Blue Devil program over there. Lee and I, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and hopefully we can speak to you again real soon.
Yes, sir. Well, I thank you guys, and I appreciate all y'all do for high school football.
Hey,
right.
Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Raw head and bloody bones, buddy.
I hear you. I hear you.
Hey,
we
good
better
talking
talk
to you.
about that. Somebody gets scared.
That's right. Good talking to you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
See you, Coach.
Bye-bye.
I ain't even going to ask. I probably don't even want to know.
It's a South Carthage thing, buddy.
Okay, all right. No, we'll just leave that. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Food for thought, right?
Food for thought.
There you go. All right. Well, that was Coach Chuck Gentry, a good friend of yours, Lee, and I wasn't lying, man. That guy has done one heck of a job with that program over at Lebanon.
He has. It was a great hire, but he's, Chuck's pedigreed, man. He's been around, and he's coached with some really good guys, and he does have an excellent staff with him. That's a key, I think, to any good coach.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Lee, let's hit our first break here. We'll go ahead and get Coach Bob Robertson, Lebanon. Lebanon. He's not at Lebanon. He's at Huntland. He's at something. Huntland Hornets head coach Bob Robertson on next. This is a Friday main event. We'll be back after this. Hello, Friday Main Event followers. Mike Mulder here. Appreciate you tuning into this special Thursday night edition of the Friday Main Event. Sadly had a death in the family, and we'll be attending funeral services tomorrow, so we moved the show up for tonight. And ironically, Lee and I had discussed taking this Thursday night spot, so this may become something permanent. It kind of depends on how the numbers work out for tonight, but I know there's prep radio shows already occupy the Wednesday night time slot. And of course Friday, I think the show when it was on the radio was a good situation because people were en route to games and en route to getting dinner and whatnot, which that's fine for radio and that's fine for anything where you're only having to listen. But with YouTube being a video based show, I think it's more difficult for people to tune into it. At least that's what the feedback I'm getting from a lot of friends on Coach T. So this may be something that we consider going to from here on out. Again, it'll kind of depend on how the numbers come back for tonight. But we've got a good show lined up for you guys. Chuck Gentry, Lebanon's head coach, will be joining us in the first segment, which if you're seeing this, I'm sure you're already aware of that. Second segment, I've got my good friend Bob Robertson over at Huntland. He'll be talking Hornet football with us. And then, of course, we had originally planned to be at Trousdale County for the big showdown with Whitwell, a couple of top 5 teams in 1A and 2A going up against each other. If you're in the area, I think that's the best game to see, probably statewide for Friday. So I would highly recommend you guys head over the Creek Bank and take that game in. But we'll have Brad Wagner on, his second appearance on the Friday Main Event this year. We'll have him on at 7:30. 7:45, Randall Bolden, head coach at Whitwell, joins us. So great coaches show, great coaching lineup for tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Lee Teat and I will follow these interviews up with big game discussion. There's a lot of big games on tap for tonight, so we'll break those down, give you predictions. I'll probably do better than him. Just kidding, buddy. Yeah, we probably well, I won't say that. We didn't do so well last week. We missed probably, 5 or 6 games out of 25, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but we hope to do better this week. A lot of big games to discuss. Friday Main Event, always sponsored by Jim Thompson and CoachT.com. We appreciate all that Jim Thompson's done for us this year. He's been a spectacular sponsor, and appreciate him supporting the Friday Main Event. So that's the show we got lined up. Appreciate this Thursday night edition of Friday Main Event. We'll see you guys again next week. All right, Mr. Teat, we are back. Friday Main Event, Thursday night edition. Lee Teat, Mike Mulder, and we are rolling right along, Lee, and we're fixing to have our very first here on the Friday Main Event. We've got a naked Bob Robertson on the phone with us. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. You doing all right?
We didn't mean to catch you when you're getting out of the shower there, partner. Everything.
I'm ready to go right now.
Ready to go. Well, Coach, your Hornets, man, they're playing some good football right now. Of course, you guys did suffer a region loss to Mount Pleasant. What did you take away from that game? I know you guys, in my opinion, a lot of times you can learn just as much from a loss as you can a win. What did you guys take away from that game?
Oh, you can. We were really, really disappointed. We got inside the 20 4 times, didn't score, had 1 touchdown call back, and we just didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities we had. And, sometimes when that happens, it comes back to bite you.
Yep.
Well, Coach, you guys are sitting at 4-2 now with the struggling Grace Christian squad coming in. I know you guys had your bye week earlier in the year. How healthy is your team entering tomorrow night's contest?
Well, right now we've got all of our kids, luckily, knock on wood, last year we went through injury, but this year we've got all our kids ready to go.
Well, Coach, I think it's all region games from here on out for the Hornets. And, as an outsider, I think you guys would probably be pretty heavily favored tomorrow night based on what we've seen so far. I would say you'd be an underdog in the Cornersville game. I'm sure you'd agree with that. But the Moore County and the Richland games, I think they're kind of a toss-up at this point. Would you agree with that?
Well, we were talking about that the other day. I think Richland might be one of the most improved teams in the state right now. They've played everybody well. I hadn't seen them on film yet,
Right.
but the other game you talk about is our big rival, and you can pretty much throw records out the window any year on that one. So, you're right. Those two are tough games, and the Cornersville game's going to be tough games. But we've tried to convince our kids we're playing Grace Christian this week, and that's who we got to focus on.
I'd agree with that. Huntland head coach Bob Robertson joining us by phone here on the Friday main event.
Well, Coach, we were talking there earlier about the Moore County game coming in next week. You don't want to look ahead as a coach. You said you're focusing on Grace Christian, but if there's a natural rivalry for this Huntland team, it's definitely that Moore County squad. Talk a little bit about that rivalry. What makes it such a rivalry?
It is. It goes back to the Johnny Majors days when Coach Shirley Majors started football at Huntland. Johnny was still playing at Moore County, and he scored a touchdown to beat Huntland. And Coach Majors went home that night, the story goes, and moved all of his kids to Huntland. Said he'd never coach against one of them again, and it's been a rivalry ever since.
Well, Coach Cameron Reed, he's having a heck of a season for you guys at running back. I think he now has 744 yards, 11 TDs through 6 games. He also has 205 receiving yards, another 3 TDs. A heck of an athlete. What has he meant to this Hornet team for you guys?
Cameron's one that kind of makes us go. He's our fastest running back. We got Kobe Stewart that works a lot on the inside, but at Mount Pleasant, they did a lot of things to try to take Cameron away from us, and it opened up things for everybody else. But Cameron's a good player. He's a good defensive player, and he's even a better kid than he is football player.
I'm guessing his mom must have been a pretty good athlete then.
She might have been. I don't know.
He had to have got it from her, didn't he? Of course, Kermit Reed is his dad. This is kind of an inside joke between Coach Robertson and I. We give Kermit a hard time, but
Kermit is his uncle.
Oh, I thought it was his dad.
No, Kermit's son's a sophomore right now. He's our backup quarterback.
Okay, all right. Well, I had that all confused. Well, I just sat there and tried to get a shot in at him, and it backfired on me. I thought Cameron was his kid.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret today. We had to paint the field, and Kermit powed it again today. So
he don't like doing any work, does he, Coach?
He'd rather be fishing than he had painting the football field.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, you really got to go back to 2014, I think, with Evans Ray to find good passing numbers for your Hornets. We noticed that sophomore Kobe Stewart, who's primarily been a ball carrier this season, has put up some impressive numbers in limited action last few weeks. Do you expect him to see more time behind the center as your season progresses?
Well, right now, Brandon Yarber's our quarterback. When we do some shotgun stuff, we put Kobe at quarterback, and so we can run the ball and throw the ball out of it. And Kobe's done a good job. The Yarber kids, he's also done a pretty good job this year, too.
Mike Motor and Lee Teat joined by phone with Huntland head coach Bob Robertson here on the Friday main event. Coach, having Kobe and Cameron as the centerpieces for that offense, I think both kids, you'll have both of them back next year. You guys have got to be pretty excited about the future of Hornet football. What I wanted to know about is, if these guys are having such a good year, those linemen have got to be doing a really good job. How many of those kids have you got coming back next year?
Well, I think three of our interior linemen are seniors. Our 2 guards will be coming back, but we've been really, really pleased with our offensive line. There hasn't been even the Eagleville game. I thought our kids won the battle at the line of scrimmage, and they've done a really good job for us this year, and we got some kids that back them up that we think is going to be okay next year. And like you said, we're excited about next year as well as the rest of this season.
Right.
Well, Coach, I know you and Kermit and many of your other Hornet fans probably been keeping track of your DJ Taylor, who's now getting some playing time there at Wake. Have you guys spoke to DJ this season?
Well, we talk to DJ quite often. He's starting at middle linebacker.
That's great.
and he's played well for him. You know, I got my wife to get Sling TV and Hulu TV and all that so we can watch every game. And
Right.
you know, DJ kind of took up with all us coaches, and he's like another son to all of us. And you know, we talk to him a lot, and we text a lot, and you know, we're really proud of him so far this year.
Now, Coach, looking over this Region 5, I think the way it currently stands, probably Cornersville, Mount Pleasant, I think most likely locked up, you know, postseason spots. Right now, I think that leaves Moore County, Richland, and obviously you guys fighting for those remaining 2 spots. Is that kind of the way you see it working out right now?
That's probably the way everything's going to fall out. I think Mount Pleasant still got to win another game or 2 to be locked into the 2nd spot.
Right,
But
right. Well, I just meant they've pretty much sealed their fate as making
right.
the postseason.
Right, they have. You know, and you know, we've talked as coaches. We know we really, really, really need to win 3 out of the next 4 games, and to get to, you know, we want to get in the playoffs, but we'd rather avoid Huntington if at all possible.
I can totally understand that. Eric Swenson's got a heck of a ball team over there, doesn't he?
He does. You know, I saw a little bit of the film of them, Moore County last year, and you know, they get after it. But still, I mean, if we finish 4th and we get in the playoffs, we'll look forward to making that trip.
Absolutely. Right. Well, Coach, you know, I know you got to get ready. You probably settling in to watch some TV. Did you watch Survivor last night?
I did. You know,
Coach Robertson and I talk about Survivor a lot on Facebook.
That's a big thing you and I have in common is Survivor.
Yes, sir, we do. That was a little bit of a shocker on that vote last night for me.
Well, I hated to see her go, but it really did surprise me too.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you guys, good luck tomorrow night, man, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you again before the season's up.
I appreciate it. It's good talking to y'all again.
You too, Coach. Sir. Thanks. All right, Lee. That's my Survivor buddy. Every Wednesday we'll get on Facebook. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he did. We'll go back and forth about Survivor. He's right. We got that in common. It's always fun. But Coach Robertson's been over there 20, 21, 22 years. I'm not sure now, Lee, but he's been there for a long time. Done a really good job with that. He runs a good program. I mean, they don't always have as much talent as a lot of other teams, but you know they're going to be, you know, in the mix every year. And,
yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. We talked about DJ Taylor. Those kids come around once every quarter century.
Right.
For a program that size. You get one of them. So I'll be honest with you, I think Coach Robertson does a good job outside of those type of kids.
Yeah.
He does a good job with what he has every year developing. In some years, man, you know, that's just the way it is.
Well, 1A ball, you know
right.
as well as I do, for the most part, you're going to go in about a 3-year cycle. You'll get a really good run about every 3 years. That's just the way it works out because you don't have the depth that these bigger schools have got.
That's exactly right.
And that's kind of the way it's played out. You mentioned that Ethan Ray's year 14, I think it was.
Right.
I think they won the region that year, if I remember right. You know, and then they've had a couple of down years. This year they're playing well. I think next year is going to be a really good year for Huntland.
That's right.
All right, Lee. Well, let's take our second break here. We've got Trousdale County head coach Brad Wagner coming up on the other side of the break. Mike Moulder, Lee Teat. This is the Friday main event. We'll be back after this. All right, Lee, we are back. Friday main event, Thursday night edition, and remains to be seen. We'll see what the feedback is. This could potentially be a new thing for us. I like the fact that we don't really have any competition right now as far as other shows. Of course, there's some games going on right now, but not typically a lot of games on Thursday night. So we'll get the feedback, see how it goes. We really wanted to be at Trousdale County tomorrow night. I really, really wanted to be, but unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier, situation being as it was, I wasn't able to go. But we did still want to talk to our good buddy Brad Wagner over at Trousdale County, and we've got him on the phone. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great.
Coach, we mentioned it, man. You've got a heck of a opportunity tomorrow night, but let's talk about your last 3 games first before we get into that. You guys have outscored your opponents 107-0. You've only given up 11 first downs in the last 12 quarters. None of the 3 opponents you faced have broke the 100-yard mark in total offense. Anything changed since mid-season to attribute to all this success on defense now?
Well, after the Whitwell, after the Watertown game, we, our team, pretty much told our team that,
you're either gonna have to decide which way we're gonna go. Either we're gonna go up or we're gonna go down.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it was a tough loss, but our team really came together after that game, and I think that we kind of moved some guys around, and we kind of changed some of the way we did things practice wise, and we kind of went back to the basics, and our kids have really responded well the last 4 weeks, and a lot of that can be contributed. I mean, Blake Satterfield, our defense coordinator, he's done a really good job of preparing those guys defensively wise, but I guess even more so, I mean, just our locker room. Our locker room changed after that Watertown loss, and it was a tough loss,
right?
And you hate to lose those kind of games like that, but I think it made our team better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, the much anticipated return of Kevont Baines at quarterback happens tomorrow night. How much different will this Yellow Jacket offense look with him behind center?
Well, I think that you'll find out tomorrow night. I mean, there's no question he's a talented kid. He's a great kid. He made a mistake and he paid dearly for it. But he's been a scout team guy for us for the last 7 weeks. He's worked his tail off, and we look forward to having him back. I know our team's excited about having him back. He's a talented kid, but we got a lot of other talented kids that stepped up in his absence. So I think it's just going to be another way where we can get someone. I mean, we got to distribute the ball to different places, and he'll be exciting to watch.
Well, Coach, you have a very good defensive team coming in tomorrow night with Whitwell. They've also had 3 shutouts this year and are giving up an average of less than 7 points a game. Do you think that the fans should expect a low-scoring game tomorrow night, or do you think your offense is going to be able to move the ball?
I think that I think it's going to be a tough assignment for us. I mean, you watch them on film. I think they've mercy ruled 4 out of the 6 teams they played, and they scored. I mean, I think they're averaging 400 something yards of offense a game. But I hope that changes tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a tough assignment for us. That they're a very talented group. They got some very, very good skill guys. They're seniors. They returned most all their skill back from last year's team. But we've had a great week of preparation. In order to get where we want to get to, we're going to have to beat someone like them. And so I think that it's going to be a tough challenge. But we're looking forward to the opportunity.
We're joined by phone with Trousdale County head coach Brad Wagner here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, looking at that Whitwell team, they feature senior Warner Ashworth behind center. And a kid, to be perfectly honest, has been almost perfect this year. He's got 76% completion rate. He's second on the team, a second leading rusher on the team, 456 yards, 9 TDs on the ground. Is he the most dynamic quarterback you guys have seen so far this season?
Yeah, maybe quarterback-wise, I mean, I'd probably go back. The Price kid at Watertown is probably the most dynamic kid we played against. But and that's not saying this kid's not, because obviously we haven't played against him yet.
Right.
But on the film, I mean, there's no question that he is very, very. I mean, they got 3 or 4 kids that are all-state type kids that I know. I'd love to have them on our team, but I mean, they're talented kids now.
Right.
So it's not really fair for me to say that we haven't played against him yet. I think that probably the most talented kid we played to this point is probably the Price kid from Watertown.
I'd agree.
He's a very, very talented kid, and
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't necessarily a true quarterback.
Right.
But this Ashworth kid, I mean, he does a really good job of running the football, throwing the ball off the run. They do a lot of RPO stuff where they'll
Right.
fake a run and they'll throw to receivers. But he is a very talented kid, but he's got a very talented, cast around him also. He's got a very good running back.
Right.
He's got a really good receiver in the Wingo kid.
Mm-hmm.
They're a talented football team.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, we think, Cameron Rankins did a really good job holding down the fort for you guys while Kevont served as suspension. How will you be using him tomorrow night?
He could line up at quarterback some still. He's not going to necessarily. We're not going to ban him at quarterback, but
Right.
it's going to allow him to probably go back to his running back position. He was a big force for us last year at the beginning of the season running back. I mean, people trying to forget when we played Lebanon last year, the first game, he had over 120 yards rushing against Lebanon. You'll probably see him in some different roles and more like, but you'll see him probably behind center some as well. I think that it'll be a chance for us to get Kevon opening space out there, and he'll play a major role still for us on offense. He just probably at some different spots.
Right.
Well, Coach, one thing that Lee and I noticed in that Watertown game was how well that front line of yours is moving the line of scrimmage. How many of those kids have you got coming back for next season?
Well, we'll have two of the four offensive linemen back.
Okay.
We'll have Mason Bassford, and we'll have our left tackle Javon Burnley, and then we'll have our tight end back, Tavares Claiborne. And so we really got three guys up front back. But we'll lose Jake Gregory, who was an All-State player, and Noah Ropsky, and then Cooper Belcher, who are three really good players.
Yeah.
But we feel like as good as we've got some really good young guys that will have that can replace those guys next year. And so I think that we were talking about that earlier today. I think that we got an exciting team coming back next year as well.
Mike Mulder and Lee Teat talking Trousdale County football with head coach Brad Wagner here on the Friday Main Event.
Well, Coach Wagner, I feel like Kevont definitely is a next level talent. I doubt very seriously anytime he's in the ball game, he's probably the most dynamic player on the field, I believe. But I'm sure the suspension might have cooled some of the colleges looking at him. Have you had any interest in him? Are they still talking to him this year?
They are. I mean, they're still. I mean, they're still definitely on him. I think that it's going to probably be important how well he plays these next few games, and I think they're all interested in seeing how he is when he comes back. So he, Kevon is, like I said, he's a really good kid. And he's a lot bigger than he was last year. I mean, he probably weighs 15, 16 pounds more than he did last year. He's gotten stronger over the whole season. But pretty much our whole team has done that as well. But we were kidding him today. We were watching the film from last year against Whitwell. We couldn't believe how small we looked on the film from last year. I mean, we got two of our linemen. They're 40 pounds heavier than they were last year on that film. But like I said, Kevon, this is his first year. I guess his first game back tomorrow night. So I'm sure that he'll probably have some first game jitters, but at the same time, we're going to ease him in the game plan. And I think that the big thing for us is we got to get him clicking. So in 4 weeks from now, when we hit that playoff stretch, he'll be ready to go.
Coach, you guys finish out this regular season against with two region games, Cascade and Jackson County. I think those teams have combined for 3 wins this year. Any concern that, and I'm sure you guys faced the same situation last year. Well, Jackson County, I think, was actually better last year. But any concern that the lack of competition heading into the postseason may have a negative effect, on how you guys play that first round?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, just our mindset. I guess our mindset is just different this year. Our mindset is we just got to get better every week. We got to get better fundamentally every week. We are, basically our practice schedule right now is probably the same as it was back in August. It's just, we're doing a lot of fundamental work on Monday, and we're just trying to get ourselves to be the best we can be. So when we hit that playoff stretch, we're going to need to be playing the best we can be in order to make a run at it. Because we're going to be a tough road, but all we can do is just take 1 week at a time, and we got all on our mind right now is Whitwell, and then we'll worry about the next one next week, and Basically, we got after this week, we got basically 3 weeks, 4 weeks before we start the playoffs, and so we just got to get better. There's a lot of things we got to improve on, and I thought that we've improved a lot over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but we just got to keep improving to get where we need to get to in order to make a run at it.
Right.
Well, Coach, you're talking about, getting everything clicking, and you're right. You want to be peaking going into the playoffs. I think the loss to the Watertown, earlier in the year probably made your path a little bit tougher because I think you'll go to Tyner. And I'm speculating. I know coaches don't look ahead, but us media guys do. I think, we're probably looking at a Tyner matchup in the second round. And if you get the win there, you'll come back to Watertown, I believe, probably for the quarterfinal game. And I think you alluded to, that's a pretty tough path, So I commend you for talking about, trying to get you guys peaking right there before the playoffs because it is going to be, I think, a tough road.
Yeah, well, I think there's no question it's a tough road. Like I said, we're going to you got to get past the first round in order to get the second round. But I think that everybody talks about being a tough road. Obviously, we know how good Tyner is because obviously Tyner was in it last year. But at the same set, Tyner won their region, and you can say the same thing for them. They're going to have a tough road because they're going to have to. If we were lucky enough to get there, they got to beat us in Watertown.
That's
That's
true.
exactly
That's a good
right.
point.
And so I think a lot of it. Obviously everybody wants to play at home, but to be honest with you, I think our team probably plays better on the road. We haven't lost on the road yet this year. Hopefully we can keep that streak alive. But I think that if you're gonna get if you're gonna get the football, you're gonna have to beat really good teams. And
Right.
I think that. But the bottom line is, we got to get the playoffs first, and then we got to beat whoever our first round team is before we can worry about Tyler.
Right.
Well, Coach Wagner, I can't tell you how bad I hate that I'm not going to be over there tomorrow, buddy. I know Cheese and Big Cam, he's looking forward to joining us, so hopefully we'll get another chance to get over there before the season's over.
Well, you're in our prayers, and I know that you'd be there if you could. But I just want to get you back over here because I want to win a game when you be here. Last time you were here, we lost a heartbreaker to Watertown, so hopefully we get you over here.
I didn't know if you'd want us back over there after you guys lost when we was there.
Hey, when you told me you were coming, I was like, oh no, he's gonna jinx us. But no, we love what you do. And I think you do a great job of covering high school sports here in Tennessee, and and we're always, we always feel lucky if you guys cover us. And but I want to get you back over here where we win a game when you're here.
Sounds like a plan,
Sounds
Coach.
like a plan.
We'll go ahead and pencil it in, and I'll give you a call about that soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck to you tomorrow night, buddy. We'll be keeping up with it. We'll listen on the radio, and hopefully things work out for you guys.
Well, yes, sir. Your family's in our prayers too.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that. We'll see
Yes,
you,
sir.
buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Coach Wagner.
Good dude, man.
He's a good dude, man. And he's so what's the word? Inspirational. If you're on his Twitter or his Facebook, every day he posts something inspirational. I think he's probably a pretty religious guy based on what I see on Facebook and Twitter. So that's the kind of guy you want your kids around, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I tell you what, the folks at Trousdale, that's a great hire because he was a head of player development at Georgia Tech.
Right.
And it takes that kind of guy to be in that role.
Right.
And somebody who really believes what they're saying, and then Coach Wagner does. And I think it was a good hire for them, and he's a good dude, and they treat us good every time we go there.
They do, Lee, and we appreciate it. But, again, I think if I had a high school kid, I would want somebody like Coach Wagner leading the team, and he's doing a good job on that.
That's right.
All right, Lee, well, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll get his competition. We got Whitwell head coach Randall Bolden on next. This is the Friday Main Event, and we'll be back after this. Hello, Friday Main Event followers. Mike Mulder here. Appreciate you tuning into this special Thursday night edition of the Friday Main Event. Sadly had a death in the family, and we'll be attending funeral services tomorrow, so we moved the show up for tonight. And ironically, Lee and I had discussed taking this Thursday night spot, so this may become something permanent. It kind of depends on how the numbers work out for tonight, but I know there's prep radio shows already occupy the Wednesday night time slot, and of course Friday. I think the show when it was on the radio was a good situation because people were en route to games and en route to getting dinner and whatnot, which that's fine for radio and that's fine for anything where you're only having to listen. But with YouTube being a video-based show, I think it's more difficult for people to tune into it. At least that's what the feedback I'm getting from a lot of friends on Coach T. So this may be something that we consider going to from here on out. Again, it'll kind of depend on how the numbers come back for tonight. But we've got a good show lined up for you guys. Chuck Gentry, Lebanon's head coach, will be joining us in the first segment, which if you're seeing this, I'm sure you're already aware of that. Second segment, I've got my good friend Bob Robertson over at Huntland. He'll be talking Hornet football with us. And then, of course, we had originally planned to be at Trousdale County for the big showdown with Whitwell, a couple of top 5 teams in 1A and 2A going up against each other. If you're in the area, I think that's the best game to see, probably statewide for Friday. So I would highly recommend you guys head over to the Creek Bank and take that game in. But we'll have Brad Wagner on, his second appearance on the Friday main event this year. We'll have him on at 7:30. 7:45, Randall Bolden, head coach at Whitwell, joins us. So great coaches show, great coaching lineup for tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Lee Teat and I will follow these interviews up with big game discussion. There's a lot of big games on tap for tonight, so we'll break those down, give you predictions. I'll probably do better than him. Just kidding, buddy. Yeah, we probably well, I won't say that. We didn't do so well last week. We missed probably, 5 or 6 games out of 25, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but we hope to do better this week. A lot of big games to discuss. Friday main event, always sponsored by Jim Thompson and CoachT.com. We appreciate all that Jim Thompson's done for us this year. He's been a spectacular sponsor and appreciate him supporting the Friday main event. So that's the show we got lined up. Appreciate this Thursday night edition of Friday main event. We'll see you guys again next week. All right, Mr. Teat, we are back. Friday main event from the Motor Household, Motor Studios.
Motor Studios.
We're usually on location at games, and as we've mentioned earlier, special edition tonight, Thursday night show. This may become a regular thing. We're going to see how it goes, see what the feedback is, see what the people that are regular viewers of the show think about it. But we may work this out to where we do this on Thursday. I think it works out better for the coaches anyway. And speaking of the coaches, we've had 3 great coaches on. We got another coach on with us right now, and that's Whitwell head coach Randall Bolden. Coach, how you doing?
Pretty good, guys. How's it going?
It's going really well, Coach. Lee was just talking to you about it's been unusually warm for a football season, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been crazy.
And Lee was, I think you and Lee were having a little discussion. I think the main thing is keeping them hydrated this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about this today, me and some other coaches. It's weird because, we're in the heat practicing, and but come game time, the temperature drops down to the 70s. So it's something that we definitely have to keep an eye on, and we're continuing to battle.
Right.
Well, Coach, Lee and I made the trip up to your field back there preseason. We got to see that 3-way with you guys, Moore County, and Greenback. I think Greenback was heavy favorites to repeat at the time, but you guys and a very good South Pittsburgh team are having an amazing season this year. Do you still feel Greenback is probably the team to beat on the east side in 1A?
Absolutely. Until someone knocks them off, they've earned that right.
Mm-hmm.
So we know they're a really good football team, and the rest of us just trying to keep up with them.
Well, Coach, you guys beat a solid Trousdale County team at your place last year, but you're on the road this year, making the trip to one of the toughest environments I feel like to win in at high school football level. They call it the Creek Bank down there, and I've been there quite a few times. It's a tough place to play. Who do you feel this Trousdale team compares to, or how do you feel this Trousdale team compares to the one you guys beat last year?
I think they're a little bit different football team. Obviously, it's year 2 in the system for them as well. They're physical like they were last year. They've added some players, and the players they had last year have gotten better. And obviously, them bringing back number 8 this week is only going to make them better. So we know we got our hands, um, got to come out and play. Our hands are going to be tied. We got to come out and play with them.
Well, you talk about that. Kevont Baines, the quarterback, hasn't taken a snap this year. So, I mean, if you go and look at game film for this year, it's really hard to prepare, for that game tomorrow night. I'm guessing you guys probably looked at, as much as anything at game film from last year preparing for this game. Am I right with that?
Well, we certainly went back and watched him, but heck, we know he's a heck of an athlete. We
Right.
played him last year. We saw what he can do with the ball in his hands. So our kids have been preparing for that all week, like he's going to take the first snap. So, of course, we'll get there. And, hey, number 5 ain't bad either.
That's true.
That kid's a big kid, man. He can get downhill in a hurry. So it's no different for us as far as preparing for them two guys, because they both run the ball extremely well.
And Coach Wagner said you'll probably see both of them. I'll go ahead and give you a little, since you didn't watch our show earlier, you let me know that. You could have got some good. We was trying to help you out, brother. But yeah, Coach Wagner said that both of them will probably be behind center tomorrow night.
Well, unfortunately, I left high school practice. I had to go to Little League practice, so my day's just now starting to wind down.
Well, we're joined by phone with Whitwell head coach Randall Bolden here on the Friday event. That's a good thing, though, Coach. It's DVR, so you can go back and watch it.
That sounds good.
Well, Coach Boldin, Hudson Petty's having a great season rushing and receiving for you guys. He's been vital, I think, on defense with averaging 10 tackles a game, 2 picks, 2 fumble recoveries. Talk a little bit about Hudson and his contributions and how it's been contributed to your success.
Well, Hudson's definitely off to another nice start like he was last year. He's a heck of a player. But, what also helps Hudson is he's got really good players around him.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some other kids that kind of take the pressure off of him and sometimes, carry the load for us. So I know he's fortunate to have those around him, and we're fortunate to have him with us.
Well, you talk about kids around him, Coach, and we talked to Coach Wagner about that. Your quarterback, Warner Ashworth, he's been near perfect this year. He got 76% completion percentage, 849 yards, 10 TDs versus 1 interception. The guy has rushed for 456 yards, another 9 TDs. Have you started the Mr. Football campaign yet for Warner?
No, we're not focused on that, guys. And I'm going to take that to jinx if he plays bad tomorrow night, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't trying to jinx you. I was giving him some kudos.
Warner's done a really good job. Like I said, this is year 2 in the system for him. He's kind of owned it, and he understands it a lot better. And he understands he's got playmakers around him. So, we're going to take what the defense gives us. And if they give us an opportunity for him to pull and throw it, he's going to pull it and throw it. If they sit back and take the throwing lanes away, he's going to hand it off to a really good running back behind him. So he's done a really good job of running this system, and the offensive line's done a good job opening holes for us.
Well, Coach, speaking of a really good tailback there, probably one of my favorites in this division, Josh Wingo. 770-something yards with 9 TDs coming into this game this week. And, has he played very much at all in the second half? You guys been boat racing everybody, so I can't imagine he's getting a ton of carries. I think he's averaging about, 10, 12 carries a game. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's about right. And there's a lot of games where he has, 5 or 6 carries. And so, I was speaking to someone about this. I think it was a Signal Mountain game. He had like 18 carries in a Signal Mountain game, and people were going crazy about it. But, that's something we battle with. We like to try to get him touches so we can get in game shape and get used to taking those hits and stuff. But, he understands it. It's just like I spoke on earlier. We got other kids. So if anybody's trying to barrel down and take Josh out of the equation, we got other kids to get the ball to. But he's done an amazing job. Like I said, this year 2 in the system for him too. He understands it. He understands the scheme. He's been running the rock really hard.
Well, Coach, earlier in the year, back in July when we talked to you, you were concerned maybe with a little bit with lack of depth and some numbers. These big wins you're talking about, that you've gotten in the first half of the season, are they allowing you to build that depth?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've been banged up front a little bit early in the season, and so that was our major concern, is building the depth up front.
Right.
And we've been able to do that. We've got about 7 guys that we can count on at any given time to go in and play, and they've done a really good job.
Mike Motor and Lee Teat talking Tiger football with Whitwell head coach Randall Bolden here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, not asking you to look ahead, but you know there's that big elephant in the corner of the room. You got South Pittsburgh up next on the schedule. Just like last year, the region will be decided in that matchup. You get them at your place this year. You know, you guys, Lee and I were actually at the game last year at South Pitt. You know, how do you feel you guys are going to match up with them? Again, I'm not asking you to jump over the Trousdale County, but that's an obvious question with them being a region opponent for you guys.
Yeah, well, obviously South Pittsburgh, South Pittsburgh. You know, Coach Greider's been there forever and he's done an amazing job with that program. So I mean, our hands are going to be are filled with that game as well. I mean, we gotta keep building on us, keep working on us. And we'll get through this week and turn our focus to South Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, speaking of South Pittsburgh, you know, they got, I think they've only given up 13 points a game this year. I'm sure Vic Grider's probably been watching film on you guys already, you reckon?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, boy. Well, Coach, I know you got a lot going on, brother. I know you said you just got back from dinner, so I want you to go ahead and spend some time with your family. But Lee and I appreciate you jumping on with us and wish you a lot of luck tomorrow. And hopefully we can catch up with you again before the season's up.
Hey, that sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
All
Thanks,
right.
Coach Bolden.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll see y'all.
Thank you.
Lee, I like that dude. He's I think he's pretty young. He seemed to be young to me anyway. We interviewed him up there at their place when we went to that three-way. Maybe he's just aged well, but he looks to be pretty young to me.
He is. But I tell you what I like about Coach Boldin, man. He's pretty matter of fact.
Yeah.
You know, he's a team guy. I mean, dude, if I had Wingo on my team, buddy, I'd be
singing his praises.
singing, you know, dancing in the street.
Yeah.
With Ashworth. Oh, he's got Hudson Petty. Well, we talked about all those guys,
yeah.
and even kids we didn't talk about that he's got that are phenomenal players. Yeah. But he kind of downplays that individual and worries about his team.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do too. And we figured, and he kind of confirmed that, the fact that they've been winning all these games by such a large margin, and that was his biggest fear when I talked to him when I interviewed him in July, was they've only got, I think, a 35-man roster or something like that. It's not real big. So the fact that he's getting some playing time for those linemen will definitely help them down the road. They're going to need it the next 2 weeks.
They are. With
Trousdale tomorrow night and then South Pittsburgh, you're not going to find a tougher back-to-back matchup than those two games right there.
Right.
All right, Mr. Teat, well, let's go ahead and take a real quick break right here. This is the Friday main event. Mike Mulder and Lee Teat. You guys shoot us some comments, man. We're going to talk big games. We'll go ahead. We'll do a scoreboard rundown after the break, let you know what's going on across the state, and then we'll jump right into big games for tomorrow night. Mike Mulder, Lee Teat, Friday main event. We'll be back after this. Hello, Friday main event followers. Mike Mulder here. Appreciate you tuning into this special Thursday night edition of the Friday main event. Sadly had a death in the family, and we'll be attending funeral services tomorrow, so we moved the show up for tonight. And ironically, Lee and I had discussed taking this Thursday night spot, so this may become something permanent. It kind of depends on how the numbers work out for tonight, but I know there's prep radio shows already occupy the Wednesday night time slot, and of course Friday. I think Friday's the show when it was on the radio was a good situation because people were en route to games and en route to getting dinner and whatnot, which that's fine for radio and that's fine for anything where you're only having to listen. But with YouTube being a video-based show, I think it's more difficult for people to tune into it. At least that's what the feedback I'm getting from a lot of friends on Coach T. So this may be something that we consider going to from here on out. Again, it'll kind of depend on how the numbers come back for tonight. But we've got a good show lined up for you guys. Chuck Gentry, Lebanon's head coach, will be joining us in the first segment, which if you're seeing this, I'm sure you're already aware of that. Second segment, I've got my good friend Bob Robertson over at Huntland. He'll be talking Hornet football with us. And then, of course, we had originally planned to be at Trousdale County for the big showdown with Whitwell, a couple of top 5 teams in 1A and 2A going up against each other. If you're in the area, I think that's the best game to see, probably statewide for Friday. So I would highly recommend you guys head over the Creek Bank and take that game in. But we'll have Brad Wagner on, his second appearance on the Friday main event, this year. We'll have him on at 7:30. 7:45, Randall Bolden, head coach at Whitwell, joins us. So great coaches show, great coaching lineup for tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Lee Teat and I will follow these interviews up with big game discussion. There's a lot of big games on tap for tonight, so we'll break those down, give you predictions. I'll probably do better than him. Just kidding, buddy. Yeah, we probably well, I won't say that. We didn't do so well last week. We missed probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 games out of 25, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but we hope to do better this week. A lot of big games to discuss. Friday main event always sponsored by Jim Thompson and CoachT.com. We appreciate all that Jim Thompson's done for us this year. He's been a spectacular sponsor, and appreciate him supporting the Friday main event. So that's the show we got lined up. Appreciate this Thursday night edition of Friday main event. We'll see you guys again next week. All right, Lee Teat, Friday main event, Thursday night edition. We are back. We've had some great coaches interviews so far. We started things off with your buddy, Chuck Gentry. Went down to Huntland to a naked Bob Robertson.
Naked Bob.
I've never had a coach on that said he just got out of the shower. What did he say? He was going to drip dry.
Yeah. He said, I'm always prepared.
Oh, he's something else. And then we had Brad Wagner, Trousdale County's head coach, joining us after that. And then we topped things off with Randall Bolden, Whitwell's head coach. So, Lee, I was going to go ahead and give them scores across the state so they don't have to turn away from our show. We'll give them those scores. Bradley Central leads Saudi Daisy at the half, 28-8. Bradley Central's really kicked it up a gear, man. They had kind of a slow start, a couple of rough losses, but they looking good. Maryville 42-7 over Cleveland. Mount Juliet continues the shutout trail, 14-0 over McGavick in the second quarter. Fairleigh up 22-0 over Manassas. 1-5 Manassas team. No score on Hillcrest. We've got Pope John Paul II, 17, Hillwood 12, and Fayette Academy 28-27 over Davidson Academy. That's in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's 2 6-0 teams going at it.
Guys are putting some points on the board. Yep. I was trying to remember who I had in the big ones for Coach T. I think I had Davidson Academy. Who you like in that one? It's still second quarter. You can pick it. Pick it, brother.
Still second quarter. I'll go Davidson Academy.
All right. That's a good game. I figured that was going to be a good one. Well, what about that's really the only one in question right now.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the
Thursday night rundown.
That's the Friday main event scoreboard brought to you by Coach T. Coach T is our sponsor, Jim Thompson. Appreciate those guys sponsoring the Friday main event each week. And if you go to the scoreboard on Coach T, you're going to see a red box right below the header, and that'll lead you right to us each and every Friday, and we appreciate Coach T doing that for us. Later, we're going to jump into big games for tomorrow night, and why not? Hey, biggest game I know of is the one we've been talking about the whole show. That's Whitwell at Trousdale County, and I think we are in a bit of a disagreement on this one. I think we both feel it's going to be a heck of a ball game, a close game. You got 6-0 Whitwell heading over to the Creek Bank. Trousdale County, the Yellow Jackets are 5-2. They dropped a game to Lebanon in the first week of the season without Kevont Maines. Lost to Watertown. And I think, Lee, if I remember right, they were up on Watertown, correct?
They were, and, Watertown's quarterback went down in that ball game. And Heath Price comes in and puts up 3 straight touchdowns there, 3 straight drives. And
Coach Webster's son.
Coach Webster's son.
Broke a collarbone.
Broke a collarbone.
And,
So Heath comes in and takes over at the quarterback spot. And that's a little different, throws a little different dynamic that I don't even know that Trousdale County might not have been prepared for.
Probably weren't, yeah.
So the outcome, it was a close ball game. But I think right now, if you look at this ball game, strength of schedule obviously is going to go to Trousdale County because they
Absolutely.
beat a 6A team and they had an outstanding Watertown team,
Mm.
pretty solid Gordonsville team. I mean,
Mm.
they're not world beaters, but they're solid. Westmoreland's been playing fairly well.
Macon County.
Yeah, so I would give strength of schedule to Trousdale County, but I don't think, man, Trousdale County has seen a back like Josh Wingo.
Well, now Coach said Heath Price is comparable. You not agree
Price
with that?
is a big boy, but Josh Wingo is about 6'2", 220 pounds, and he runs a sub 4 640, and he brings the wood.
Brings the wood.
And with them, this is the thing I see is going to be the difference. I'm going to pick Whitwell on the road.
Okay.
And that's a odd for me because the Creek Bank is about one of the worst places you
It's
could
hard to win a game
possibly want to go play.
there. Yeah.
But I don't know that Trousdale has seen a Hudson Petty, Josh Wingo, Warner Ashworth combination.
That three-headed monster.
You
You didn't
got-
want to use that analogy, did you?
You got to pick your poison against them.
Yeah.
And who do you pick? Ashworth's been perfect.
Well, I like the Yellow Jackets. 3 straight, I said that to him, 3 straight shutouts. They held a 5-win East Robertson team that was averaging 33 points a game, scoreless last week,
Right.
Lee. Only allowed 67 yards of total offense last week. Dyson Satterfield has 6 games over 100 yards. So not only do you have to account for Kevon Baines now, you got to keep an eye on Satterfield, who's having an extremely good season. Kobe Ford is back at running back. Of course, he came back the game that we were at, Lee.
Right.
Another dangerous weapon out of that backfield. You talk about the weapons for Whitwell. Yellow Jackets has
Flip
got,
it.
Yeah, Yellow Jackets has got just as many weapons. Yellow Jackets are at home. Yellow Jackets have lost 2 games. I don't see them losing the third. I'm going to go with Trousdale.
Well, I mean, that's a good pick.
It could go either way.
The same reason that I'm using for Whitwell, Trousdale hadn't seen. Whitwell probably has not seen that either.
Right.
So it's going to be. I'd love to be there.
87% of the Friday Main Event fans on Twitter like Trousdale County. Oddly, though, Coach T, I think Whitwell was the pick.
Really.
So it's
Toss up.
Depends on who
Hey,
you ask.
like you said,
Depends on who you asking, I guess.
We don't pick no easy games.
No, we don't. I mean, you're not gonna any game that's on our schedule for the most part usually is going to be a coin toss. Sometimes we can't get all coin tosses, but we get all of them that appear to be that way to us.
Right.
Another one that appears to be that way, Lee Teat, and I think we're on the opposite sides of this one as well. Marshall County travels to Giles County. Of course, Marshall County's Bryce Wallace, quarterback for the last 3 years, transfers to Giles County and is putting up some crazy numbers. He's averaging, I think, 320-something yards a game. He's probably on pace to challenge the numbers Grayson Trammell had at Shelbyville last year. I think aren't you leaning toward the Bobcats in this one?
I am. It's at Giles County. Bryce is putting up big numbers now. They got a boat race last week against East Nashville.
That's right.
But East Nashville is a whole different world.
They beat Marshall, Maplewood. East Nashville's still undefeated.
They lost to a solid Franklin County team.
Right.
And Pearl Cone, another team that's very hard to beat. I mean, these teams so their strength of schedule's tough.
It's very tough.
Very tough. I think tomorrow night, too much KJ Ziegler. Bryce is going to get his numbers all the time.
Right.
I think Ziegler, to me, I don't know that Marshall County can defend him.
That's a good point, and I think most people are going to side with you on this one. The Bobcats appear to be the obvious pick. A couple of things I'm taking into account is Bryce left this team, and if I'm Marshall County, if I'm Malik Thomason, the new quarterback for Marshall County, I'm going to emphasize those guys. He's a senior. I'm going to emphasize this guy left us. We're going to come out and we're going to kick his rear end.
Right.
I'm going to play the hardest I played all year to beat this guy that left my team. And that's what I'm hanging my hat on. That, coupled with the fact that Thomas Osteen is a very, and I'm not taking anything away from David O'Connor, the guy's won a state title, but Thomas Osteen gets the respect from his peers. Remember Charles Rathbone?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name Coach Charles Rathbone at Page spoke of first when he said, we ask you specifically, what's the toughest coaches to game plan against? Thomas Osteen was the first name out of his mouth.
Yep.
And he's a young guy. And I think Osteen has been busting his rear end, getting the game plan together, and he's going to throw some stuff at Giles County that they have not seen on film yet this year. I expect that.
Oh, he's going to have to.
And his kids are going to play hard. And I like the Tigers to pull upset here.
Really?
I do.
Wow.
I like the Tigers to pull upset.
Big pick.
Yep. Shelbyville and Summit. Lee, if you'll remember, this is the game that Trammell went off on last year. 606 yards, set the state record against Summit in the loss. Now Shelbyville travels to Summit. We were there last week. Summit, Brian Coleman, he's another really good coach. I thought he was outmatched last week. I thought Dalen Jeans would come in there and win that game. You and I, my daughter Jennifer, who was at the game, she picked Summit, kind of rubbed her nose in a little bit.
Yep.
So this game here's a tough one to pick. Who do you like in this one?
Buddy, I'm going to go with Shelbyville.
Going with Shelbyville.
Coach Coleman is going to kick my tail.
He probably likes us picking against him, to be honest
He ought
with
to
you.
like it when I pick against him because every time I do, he wins. But I think tomorrow night, I like Arius Trice in this game and Caleb Marsh.
Yeah.
I think Shelbyville's ability this year to run the football versus last year. Trammell's not going to put 600 yards up this year in this ball game. He threw it every play last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to do that this year.
All right.
I think they're going to get Caleb Marsh rolling on the ground, and then hit Arius Trice, Malachi Burns, and then you'll see Grayson his numbers start picking up.
And that Malachi Burns, that may be another kid, kind of like you were saying with the Giles County team. This kid has got the body to play at the next level.
He does.
He's 6'3", 220. He's a man child, and I agree with you. I think Trice the deep threat, and then Burns is a good possession receiver. 20 yards and in.
Right.
So he's got a lot of weapons, Grayson Trammell does, and we know he protects the ball very well. So I agree with you. I'm going to go with Shelbyville, but Summit's team, man, they seem to have found something that's going to work with that freshman quarterback. I think he ran the ball really well last week, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, Destin Wade.
Yeah, Destin Wade.
Look for him over the next few years.
Yeah, he did a really good job running the ball last week against Franklin County. So who knows? I mean, he's playing above his age right now, no doubt. And
he's a big kid too. He's about 6'2".
Yeah, he is. He sure is, Lee. He may be the difference, but I'm with you. I'm going Golden Eagles. We're going to go over to East Tennessee. We got a buddy, Derek Ring. We befriended him when he was at Dresden, won that state title. He's another young guy. We've sung his praises, 3 years now, Lee.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, when he takes over this GP job, give him 2, maybe 3 years, and he'll have that program back competitive 6-1, Lee. Who do you like against Austin East Roadrunners tonight between those two games?
Well,
2 teams.
Man, Coach Ring, that guy's good.
He's really good.
Another Quarles protege.
Yep.
Product.
Played at Merrill, right?
Another Quarles product out there. Did an outstanding job at Dresden. And is doing an outstanding job there.
Did a good job at Powell before he had to
crazy.
do his job. Yeah.
And like you said, we've talked about this. Gatlinburg Pittman, that's a super facility.
Mm-hmm.
Super fine facility. I think tomorrow night, though, I think Austin East may have just a shade too much talent.
Yeah, I agree, Lee. I think, as we mentioned, Derek Ring, next year, I suspect next year will be the year that you better watch out. They're still not going to be Alcoa level because, of course, these two teams play with Alcoa there in Region 2. But next year, I think he'll contend with Austin East to battle for another home field advantage.
I
don't know that anybody ever knocks Gary Rankin off there in Alcoa. Do you?
No, not for
I don't know why they don't play up. I don't understand that, man. I mean, how many championships he's probably won, 9 titles there at Alcoa, not to mention the one that he won at Riverdale. I don't really understand why they don't play up. What's your opinion? I wouldn't want to cream teams every year. I would want a little competition.
Well, you got yes. If you look at his overall record, you're thinking he's just beating the brakes off everybody, and most of the time he does. But
Yeah.
man, do you remember a few years back? Who was it? Knox Catholic? Not not Knox Catholic, but
CAK.
CAK.
Yeah.
You know,
Played with them for 2 years.
CAK played with
Rusty
him for
Bradley,
2 years.
right,
CPA knocked him off
CPA
1
played
year.
with them for 2 years.
So it ain't that there's not competition there. It's just
It's rare.
it's rare to
And
see.
and the teams you just mentioned, they're in D2 now.
That's right.
I don't think anybody outside of D and Coach Rankin will tell you that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you'll remember the CPA game. He in private, he let us know he's not crazy about the private schools being in D1. So they're not now.
Right.
Move up.
He could go to 4A.
He
Probably.
could go to 4. He could go to 5A, Lee, and dominate 5A. You know that well as I do.
Yeah, be in there year in and year out. I think you're right.
Go
He's
on.
got so much talent, though.
Yeah.
But you look at that area, though, Mike.
Yeah.
Fulton, Maryville, Alcoa. That's a 20-mile triangle. Now, all right, also.
And then Greenback right down the road.
Farragut.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a hotbed of football right there.
It is. Anyway.
Anyhow.
I'm going Roadrunners. I'm with you.
go
I
Austin
think
East.
I think Derek Rain, and I messed up, man. We were supposed to have him on the show last week, and I screwed up, forgot to call him. But I may try to get him on before that Alcoa game. But good dude. Still a year out, I think.
I think so.
Coalfield and Greenback, Lee, this game right here, traditionally very good. However, Greenback's dominated. I think they've won the last 4 meetings. I think over the last 2 years they played each other twice. Greenback has won every time. I thought when was it Parker McKinney? I think it
Parker McKinney
was at quarterback at Coalfield last year. I thought that was going to be their year. Matter of fact, they
too.
were our preseason number 1. But he's gone along with 7 other starters on that Coalfield team. They're very young, playing well, 5-2. They're 4-0 in region play. This game right here will decide the region title. But Greenback got a big shot in the arm. Jalen McCord transferred over from Alcoa, and he's already been cleared to play. He's already playing. And you talk about filling a spot, man. They needed a spot there at running back. And, man, he fit the bill, didn't he, Lee?
Well, most people maybe that listen to the show have heard us talk about Breeden Gilbert.
Right.
And he leaves this year, goes to West Virginia, and in Greenback, Breeden Gilbert was a beast.
He was
unreal. Unreal ball player. And then Trace Brown comes in. Trace, a good ball player, junior, but
not built like Breeden.
Not built like Breeden. But now here they go with Jalen McCord coming over. So now, man, really, Greenback's got like a 4, 5, 6-headed monster.
Yeah.
Who do you pick? Because their quarterback,
Bryce Hanley's unbelievable.
I love
man.
that kid.
That kid is wow.
Wow.
He's small, but he's
man,
incredibly gifted.
They got those the 2 brothers, 2 twin brothers up there. Is it Riddles? Oh, what's their names? I forget it every time.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Sorry.
But anyways, they got an all-state kicker.
They got a lot of
buddy,
talent.
I'm going to tell you, man, it's going to be hard to knock off Greenback.
Well,
but,
that's what Randall Bolden said.
Hey, South Pittsburgh, Whitwell, and Trousdale. That's 3 pretty solid teams.
It's going to be interesting.
Yep.
Greenback. Gotcha. Franklin and Oakland. Donnie Webb's team, he's got his back against the wall, Lee.
Man.
Had to beat Centennial to keep his playoff chances alive. Did that 28-14. I don't know what they've GACA's just been incredibly off the charts good. 210 yards, 2 scores last week against Centennial. He's playing really well. Their only losses were to Ravenwood, Brentwood, and Indy. Those 3 teams would beat most schools. But they got Oakland, dude. Can they compete with Oakland? Do they have a chance?
maybe for a half.
maybe for a half. Yeah, Patriots are tough.
At home, Oakland's very hard to beat anyway.
Yeah.
But add the fact at home. Man, Coach Webb, shout out, man. You beat my butt last week. I had Centennial.
Well,
And he went over there and got that win. Like you said, he got his back against the wall, got that win.
that's why I picked him, man. He's pretty good with his back.
He
against
is.
the wall.
I just think Oakland, probably for anybody in the state's got too many weapons.
Yeah, I think
You
probably
know.
14 points. Would
Yeah,
you
I agree.
All right, we'll move on off of that one. Here's a good one, Lee. Gallatin and Hendersonville. Now Gallatin won 4 games in a row, I think, from 2010 to 2013. It's kind of been Hendersonville's, in this rivalry. Hendersonville's won 3 out of the last 4. I think Gallatin did win in 2016. How do you see this game going?
I like Hendersonville. Probably a 10-point game, I think.
Think so?
Maybe a little more than that. I think Hendersonville's a little too tough this year for Gallatin. I like what Coach Beasley's doing. He's lost to Blackman, which is a 3 or 4, probably 3rd or 4th best team in the state.
Right.
And a tough Franklin squad we just talked about. I like Hendersonville in this ball game.
Now Hendersonville beat Centennial. They beat Beach.
Beat Lebanon.
Beat Lebanon. 3 really good teams. Gallatin's been hard for me to figure out.
They are.
They beat a really good Hillsboro team. Beat Hillwood, beat Wilson Central, and then they lost to Springfield and Station Camp, and then the Mount Juliet team. So I can understand those 3 losses.
Well, the Station Camp loss kind of threw me.
That's threw me as well.
That kind of threw me off. I don't know. Maybe some injuries played a factor. I don't know. But the Springfield Mount Juliet, I don't feel like it was a surprise loss. Both those teams are real quality clubs.
Yeah.
The Station Camp kind of threw me off. I'm going to go with Hendersonville.
I'm going to go with Hendersonville, too. They're at home, and James Beasley's doing a really good job.
Yeah.
First-year head coach there, took over for Bruce Hatfield. I think I've been really impressed with how well he has done in that role. I think they win at home. Lee, a big Region 5 game, and we saw Franklin County last week. They host Columbia tomorrow night. Our buddy Matt McCurry, his team, turnovers killed him. Nayland Jeans, the sophomore quarterback, you remember Matt McCurry said sometimes he plays like a sophomore.
Yeah.
He played like a sophomore last week.
That's
He had
right.
a couple of turnovers, 1 interception in the end zone last week. I think they went to the half down 13-0, just wasn't able to get anything going there in the second half. Lose the game 27-7 to Summit. Columbia beat Spring Hill 31-28. They're now 3-3, 0-2 in the region. I think both of these teams, it's essential that they get a win here, Lee.
I think so, and I think Coach McCurry, like you said, he talked about Nayland Jeans. That kid's obviously talented, but you take your lumps with a freshman, sophomore quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, Coach McCurry got him in there this week, told him shake it off, let that game go. We got a big region opponent
Short
coming
memory
up.
is your best friend.
That's right, and I think he's going to give him the tools this week and the encouragement. And I think you're going to see a big dose of Fuquay.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Franklin County in this ball game.
I do too. I think the main thing they're going to have to focus on this week is Darian Davis, the quarterback for Columbia. He's very dynamic. If he can get outside the pocket and hurt you with his legs, then they're dangerous. And Jason Hoth, another guy, he's doing a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
7-4 last year. They struggled a little bit this year. He didn't have much of anything coming back, only a couple of starters on offense. So he's getting some kids broke into new roles in that starting lineup, and I think they're getting better each week. But I think the same can be said for the Rebels, as you mentioned. I like Franklin County in this one. I think it'll be a pretty close game.
I do too.
So, all right. Montgomery Central and Springfield Lee-Teat. Montgomery Central 2-8 last year, 7-0 this year. 34-27 over your Greenbrier team last week. Springfield coming off the bye. Their last game was a loss to Beach, 39-22 a couple of weeks ago. Dayron Johnson, 605 yards, 5 TDs. What happens in this one?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm kind of leaning towards Montgomery Central.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
And your reasoning?
Well, they beat a solid Greenbrier team. They beat
Just
Portland.
how solid are they this year? Is this just homer talk?
No, they're solid. They ain't got a very lot of wins.
Yeah.
They played some tough teams.
Pretty good.
They're a solid little club.
Pretty
though.
good. Okay.
All right, so and they beat Portland. Portland beat the White House at White House last week. That surprised me. I was thinking differently. So Springfield has who they beat: White House, Station Camp, and Gallatin. But they lost to Clarksville and Beach. I like Montgomery Central. Maybe is squeaky. Yeah.
Squeaky.
Yeah.
I'm going Yellow Jackets.
You going Yellow Jackets?
I'm going Yellow Jackets.
I'm going Montgomery Central.
All right.
Keep the undefeated streak.
Sounds good. Decatur County Riverside, Johnny Frost squad pick up their first loss last week to a Waverly team that's much better than their record says they are, Lee. They've played a incredibly hard schedule. Fairview, Huntington, I think they played Davidson Academy, I believe. So really, really hard schedule. So that Waverly team is much better. Matter of fact, we'll talk about Waverly a little bit later, but I think Waverly may be on course to break a lot of offensive records this year by the numbers they've been putting up. 5-1 are the Panthers of Riverside. Hickman County also 5-1. Hickman County is already 3-0 in region play. Lee, they beat Scotts Hill 31-14. They've beat Houston County. They beat Harpeth, East Hickman. They did lose to Summertown. That's the one I can't really wrap my head around.
Decatur County Riverside's gonna go over there and boat race them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Stone Frost is a baller.
A baller, huh?
He's a baller.
I thought that was a basketball term.
All right. Well, how about this? This is what Silas says. He's a dude.
He's a dude. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you on that. I think he may get a little talk from Mr. Football if he continues. I think he was kind of mentioned loosely last year.
Yeah.
As him and Stanfield, both the quarterbacks in that Region 6, both are getting a lot of mentions. I think both of them have been all regions. So, yeah, he's doing really well. I agree with you, Lee. I think the Panthers win this one, no doubt. Union City and Gibson County. Gibson County, Lee, for me, was the surprise of last week. Knocked off Peabody. Yeah, 14-10, and just made me look stupid, to be honest with you, because I was sitting there talking to Coach. I think we had Coach Boldin on last week, didn't we? And we were talking about, Peabody may be the best 2A team over on that side of the state. And I told him, I said, Coach, the surprise of the season has to be Gibson County's win over Adamsville. And he told us. He said Gibson County's got a good squad.
That's right.
I bet you he didn't even see that coming, though.
Who you going with?
This is a tough one, man. I don't know. I mean, they beat Adamsville. They beat South Fulton.
West Carroll lost to Lake County.
Lost to Lake County, but Lake County's got a good ball team.
Yes,
we had them in our top 5 in 1A. I think I got to go with the Golden Tornadoes. They won this game 56-7 last year, and I know this is a 6-1 Gibson County team versus a 1-9 last year. So I'm comparing apples to oranges, but I think mentally the Pioneers see a Union City Golden Tornadoes in that state title coming in there, and I like Union City. Who you like?
I'm going to go with Gibson County.
Gibson County.
I like a win over Adamsville and Peabody.
Yeah.
You got to be doing something
That's
right.
impressive. That's impressive. And you're probably in the majority, I would say, statewide.
Well, I don't know, man. Coach Boldin.
I'm a big fan of his.
He's a good coach, buddy.
He's a good coach. He's a good friend of ours. So I'm going to root for him. I know that doesn't. You're not supposed to do that when you're picking games, but sentimental reasons, I'm going with the Golden Tornadoes.
Another thing too that I like about Gibson County, they're returning 9 starters on both sides.
Yeah,
so
that's big.
I think that probably contributing to this 6-1 record.
Well, normally I don't read too much into that, Lee, when you're talking about a 1-9 team, but obviously the kids developed a lot over the break. It lead into this year, so I don't have a problem with that pick. I'm just going to go the other way. Looks like one of us is going to look pretty smart again this week.
Yeah, probably you.
Well, it was my week last week. You'll probably get me this week. Lee, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll finish these games up. This is a Friday main event. Mike Moulder, Lee Teat, and we will be back after this. Hello, Friday main event followers. Mike Moulder here. Appreciate you tuning into this special Thursday night edition of the Friday main event. Sadly had a death in the family, and we'll be attending funeral services tomorrow, so we moved the show up for tonight. And ironically, Lee and I had discussed taking this Thursday night spot, so this may become something permanent. It kind of depends on how the numbers work out for tonight, but I know there's prep radio shows already occupy the Wednesday night time slot, and of course Friday. I think Friday's the show when it was on the radio was a good situation because people were en route to games and en route to getting dinner and whatnot, which that's fine for radio and that's fine for anything where you're only having to listen. But with YouTube being a video-based show, I think it's more difficult for people to tune into it. At least that's what the feedback I'm getting from a lot of friends on Coach T. So this may be something that we consider going to from here on out. Again, it'll kind of depend on how the numbers come back for tonight. But we've got a good show lined up for you guys. Chuck Gentry, Lebanon's head coach, will be joining us in the first segment, which if you're seeing this, I'm sure you're already aware of that. Second segment, I've got my good friend Bob Robertson over at Huntland. He'll be talking Hornet football with us. And then, of course, we had originally planned to be at Trousdale County for the big showdown with Whitwell, a couple of top 5 teams in 1A and 2A going up against each other. If you're in the area, I think that's the best game to see, probably statewide for Friday. So I would highly recommend you guys head over the creek bank and take that game in. But we'll have Brad Wagner on, his second appearance on the Friday main event this year. We'll have him on at 7:30. 7:45, Randall Bolden, head coach at Whitwell, joins us. So great coaches show, great coaching lineup for tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Lee Teat and I will follow these interviews up with big game discussion. There's a lot of big games on tap for tonight, so we'll break those down, give you predictions. I'll probably do better than him. Just kidding, buddy. Yeah, we probably well, I won't say that. We didn't do so well last week. We missed probably, 5 or 6 games out of 25, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but we hope to do better this week. A lot of big games to discuss. Friday main event always sponsored by Jim Thompson and CoachT.com. We appreciate all that Jim Thompson's done for us this year. He's been a spectacular sponsor and appreciate him supporting the Friday main event. So that's the show we got lined up. Appreciate this Thursday night edition of Friday main event. We'll see you guys again next week. All right, Mr. Lee Teat, Friday main event, back here talking big games, and this is a Thursday night edition. We're still seriously considering doing this every Thursday. It seems to be going well. We got quite a few watchers. Got Iverson 32, one of the Green Devil fans. We'll be heading up there next week for that big game with Elizabethton, and he's hitting their comments. You guys please hit the comments. We're going to talk about that game. He's giving us a little information on the Green Devils. Man, what a heck of a ball team they got, Lee.
Man,
they are loaded.
Yeah.
So we're going to head up there next week. We'll go ahead and give a quick scoreboard update. 35-8 now. Bradley Central leads Saudi Daisy 42-7. Maryville beats Cleveland tonight in region action. McGavick trails Mount Juliet now 24-0 at the half. Fairleigh 34-6 over Manassas, and then Pope John Paul II 24-12 over Hillwood. Davis Academy, come in there, baby. 40-35. That was my big ones pick, by the way, in case you could tell. That's at half. Half.
40
75 points combined in the first half. That's crazy.
Play some defense, somebody.
That's a defensive battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's your scoreboard update. courtesy of CoachT.com, our sponsor. We appreciate Coach T. Lee, we just talked about Union City, Gibson County. The next game we've got is Lincoln County and Nolensville. And I really think Tim Johnson has this Falcon team ready to be competitive, Lee. They gave up they gave number one Page a run last week, 28-21. And they've been in every game except maybe Shelbyville. I think Shelbyville beat them pretty handily. But Tim Johnson doing a really good job there. Nolensville lost to Tullahoma 30-20. Let me ask you this, Lee. Scott Blade, you know, he's struggles the first half of the year, takes Cisco out, puts Cash in. A Cisco quarterback's already got a commitment to play college.
That's right.
Puts Cash in, and they have turned their season around. They're playing really well. Now, let's fast forward to this Nolensville team. Coach Derrick, Brandon Wharton comes in the season, senior quarterback, already committed to play, I want to say, Murray State. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
He gets injured. They bring in the sophomore, Gallardi.
Yeah.
And
Ryder Gallardi.
Does really well in 2 or 3 games. Wharton gets healthy, comes back in against Brentwood, plays half the game. Gallardi comes in, plays better in the second half. Wharton comes back in last week, plays at Tullahoma. At what point do you think potentially Paul Derrick does the same thing Scott Blade did and inserts Gallardi in the lineup?
Well, I kind of questioned it the week before.
Yeah.
Gallardi winning your ball games for you.
Yep.
He's hot.
He's
you
hot.
Know, you stay with your hot hand.
Right.
I think you had to find a way to get Wharton his hands on the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you got to put him in there sometimes. But I would have probably, run a couple series, maybe get him in a series, rotating quarterbacks. You can win doing that. It's tougher, but you can do it.
Yeah.
But I would have probably myself started Gallardi because I think your team is familiar with him as he's been playing most of the reps while Wharton was out hurt.
Coach Derrick's kind of in a
tough situation.
He's in a tough situation.
It's a very tough situation.
Wharton is a returning senior quarterback, and Coach Derrick in his first year there. Great dude. I've been communicating with him by text a little bit, and I don't envy him being in that situation.
No.
But I'm thinking, they're in a situation now. They're 2-1 in region play. Of course, this game is could come into play because if you finish tied in a region, maybe a 3-way tie,
right,
possibly for third or fourth place, that overall schedule, is a tiebreaker. So I guess in that sense, this is a big game. But definitely the remaining region games, he's kind of in a position now where he needs to win at least the majority of them.
Right. I think Nolensville gets the win.
You think they get to win tonight or tomorrow night?
I think they get the win against Lincoln County. I hope the folks at Lincoln County are patient, and I hope the players for Lincoln County, because they've lost 4 in a row.
Right.
But who have they lost to? Tullahoma, Giles County, Shelbyville, Page.
Right.
That's 4 quality teams.
4 playoff teams in all likelihood.
With probably going to be with good seeds going into the playoffs. Yeah. I hope the folks at Lincoln County and the players, I think hopefully Tim Johnson can keep them on track and focused.
I think he will.
He is a good
He lost
coach.
Nayland Jeans, remember? Nayland Jeans should have been playing in Lincoln County, had he not moved and went to Franklin County. So that was a big hurdle to get over right off the start, was losing a quality quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're going to come back around, buddy. I think they're going to come back around. But I like Nolensville.
I'm leaning on them this year, this week, Lee.
Really?
I'm leaning on them. I like the fact that they played Page so close. I really like that.
Yep.
And they were at the pit, and they're going to play better at the pit. They got to travel to Nolensville. I'm going to preface it if Gallardi plays, I really like Nolensville, but I think there's got to be some distractions. Anytime you have a quarterback controversy, there has to be distractions on the team, and at some point in time, the kids are going to. They're going to want the guy that's winning games.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Is that going to be a locker room problem? That's what I'm worried about here.
Well, there's one way to stop all that. Hand the football to Colton Dooley.
Yeah, and they've
No
done,
matter who's in there.
yeah,
then.
they've done a lot of that. He's got 687 yards and 15 TDs
Right.
to
So I
lead the
think
team.
you're gonna see a lot of that.
I think so too. I'm gonna go with you, Lee. I'm gonna go with you and Nolansville because they need to win.
They need it.
So I'll agree with you. If it was at the Pit, I think I'd go Lincoln County. So I'm gonna go Nolansville as well.
Impressive game last week against Page, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was very good. Very good. Let's go ahead and skip down to this game right here because we got our guys wanting to talk about this one. That's the Green Devils, Kane Ballard. Man, what an incredibly great team. They may have the best team, Lee, in the state, and I'm talking about across all classes. They may.
All but one.
And the one being Oakland, is that no?
Brentwood Academy.
Oh, well, I was talking D1.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
talking D1.
Oh yeah, by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
I would Greenville and Oakland. I'd
Yeah.
pay big money to watch that ball
it'd be
game.
a good game, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, you look at it, they played 3 pretty good 6A
Oh,
teams.
my
They played
gosh.
DB. They played Morristown West. They played Science Hill. Shut out 2 of them. Won those games by a combined 127-3. This
Buddy,
is 6A school.
Oh yeah, listen. That's a lineup right there that could compete with any lineup.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, as long as Cade Ballard is healthy and running the show at quarterback, I ain't picking against Greenville.
No, me neither.
I'm not.
Me neither.
I don't care who they're playing.
And we'll be up there to see you guys next week, next
Yeah.
Friday. We'll be on location, Betsy and Greenville for the Region 1 title. And looking forward to that trip. And I definitely, if we go up there, Lee, I want our guy, Iverson 32, to come up and holler at us. So, it's always good to put a name with a
That's
face.
right.
So we'd appreciate
Yeah, come on over. and see
Appreciate
us,
it, brother.
buddy.
Come on up and talk to us, and we're pretty excited about heading up there. I've heard great things about that facility, so we're looking forward
Oh
to it.
yeah.
Coach Ballard has invited us up there the last 2 or 3 years, and we haven't been able to work it out. This year we're going to make that drive regardless, one way or the other. So down to picking, Lee, and I think you want to pick against Greenville.
No. No.
I think
Like I said, as long as Cade Ballard's running the show back there at quarterback, I'm gonna stay with Greenville, buddy.
Sullivan South, despite the 5-1 record, they're the next sacrificial lamb on this Green Devil journey back to Cookeville, I'd have to say.
I agree.
That's all right. Whitehaven and Memphis Central, Lee, this is the first time this region has delved into region action. They've got all 3 of their region games the last 3 weeks of the season. 4-team region. They know they're going to be in the playoffs. That's one thing. Major Wright came over from Raleigh, Egypt, leading this Memphis Central team. Got them 6-0, playing really good. Whitehaven, Rodney Salisbury's team. Only losses were to Lausanne, very good private school.
Oh yeah.
And North Little Rock, Arkansas, a good team over in Arkansas. So 5-2, don't read a lot into that. They're still the Tigers. So who do you like?
I like Whitehaven. I do. I think they go on the road and get the win. Coach Salisbury, you know what I like about how he does things, man, is he's not real flashy. Anybody's ever seen him, his teams, they just line up, smack you, and play really good defense.
A lot like Oakland.
Yep. They just
Very
line it up, smack you, and they don't turn the ball over a lot, and he doesn't beat himself.
All right.
And I think that continues. I think Whitehaven gets the win.
I like Whitehaven too. I'm going with the Tigers. Powell and Knoxville West.
Wow.
This is the big news today.
Unbelievable.
Lee T,
Again, last week and this week.
Clarksville Northeast last week, or was it last week or the week forward? Anyway, had to
Last week.
forfeit some games. We find out today. I think it was known yesterday, wasn't it? But we didn't get out to everybody. Powell disqualified for the first 7 games. They'll have to forfeit 6 wins. So instead of 6-1, they're now 0-7 heading into this game.
They can't get in the playoffs.
With West, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think they can. I think the way because that's going to give them 4 region losses. I believe that'll knock them out.
I think it does.
I believe it does.
Buddy, that's bad.
That's tough. Tough deal for Matt Lowe. But man, you gotta do a better.
Well,
and I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the administration. You got to do a better job of finding out where in the hell your kids are living at.
Well,
I mean, really, they turned in the wrong address, right?
listen, it's bad for Coach Lowe, but it's real bad for Riley Bryant, Michael Tread, or what's his name, the senior kicker there, James Hyman,
Yeah,
Chase Morgan, all these seniors
yeah,
rolling along 6-1. Now you're 0-7, and you ain't going to the playoffs.
right. It's tough.
That's,
It's tough
that's
to do.
terrible on your players. You got to do your homework,
Yeah,
man. You
yeah.
got to look out for. You can't look out for. And I'm not saying this is what happened, Coach Lowe. Please don't, pal people, don't take this. But you can't look at one kid over your whole team.
Right.
You can't take that chance, man. You
Yeah.
got to make sure
Cross your T's,
cross
and
your
dot
T's
your
and
I's.
dot your I's.
Yeah.
And
It's
I hate
sad.
it.
I hate it too.
You know, we've discussed this too. I'm not in necessary agreement with transfer rules.
Mm,
I think they need to be re-looked at
yeah.
and probably revamped.
Right.
I think there's a better way of doing it. I don't have all the answers, but I do think there's a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I just hate it for them kids at Powell, man.
Yeah, I do too. It's tough. I mean, Matt Lowe's having a great season.
year.
They beat Lenore City, beat Clinton, Carnes. Only loss was to Fulton, Rob Black's team,
Yeah.
and they were in that game.
That's
they
right.
played well. Yeah, I hate it. I really do hate it. But again, the administration has got to do a better job, man. I mean, I put it solely on them. I mean, I'm sure Coach Lowe would take some of the blame, but for me personally, that's really not his job. He's there to coach football. They're supposed to get all of that stuff taken care of, and it didn't happen. Knoxville West, Lamar Brown, of course, he was 7-5 in his first year there, leaving Morristown West. He's now at Knoxville West. 13-7 over Clinton. Pretty good Clinton squad. 3-4 on the year, 2-1. Lee, my understanding is, of course, sophomore Fernando Francis was at West last
That's
year.
right.
Now he's at Powell. I kind of suspected that was a kid they were talking about, but my sources say no, that's not the
That's right.
that's not the transfer that had the issues. So he's having. I think, matter of fact, he was a player of the game last week against Campbell County, 35-21. So I'm sure West would like to have this kid back. But how much does this suspension affect this game?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean,
if I was, I don't know how these kids are gonna handle that.
yeah.
I mean, he just got deflated.
Yeah, they did.
Given
that, do you like West?
I do.
I do too. I like West also. I'm not so sure I didn't like West already. I think we had the Rebels as a kind of a sleeper heading in, if you remember. But I mean, they lost to Farragut and Oak Ridge.
Tough team.
Hardin Valley. So they're playing better now. That went over Clinton. I like West, but I think it'll be a close game. It really depends. I mean, the Powell kids may look at this just totally 180 from what you and I are saying.
That's right.
Let's finish out on a winning note. We're seniors. I'm gonna flip it.
You gonna go Powell?
I'm going Powell. I'm gonna go Powell. I think those seniors they know they're not gonna be in a postseason, so these games are gonna mean even that much more to them now. How about that? How about that logic? you ain't buying it.
I'll be honest with you, and I hate to say this. I'm not gonna say it.
Not gonna say it. All right.
I'm just trying to think if I was one of them kids.
Yeah. All right, Lee. Let's skip down a little bit. We're getting tight on time. Any of these games jumping out at you?
What about that Crockett County? Haywood.
Yeah, that's a good one. Steve Hookfin's team 3-4.
Region.
Yeah, it is a Region 7 battle here. The Cavaliers of Crockett County 1-1. Haywood County 1-1 in region play. Haywood knocks off Ripley 40-6 last week. Crockett County loses to Albion County. I didn't really get that one.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. Coach Hookfin, he might be best 3 and 4 team in the state.
They quite possibly will be. But Lee, what I was talking about in that Albion County game, Crockett County comes into that game 5-1. Albion County is sitting at 1-5, and they win that game 12-14. I don't know what. there's got to be something there. A player was out, a player was hurt. I mean, you don't lose to a 1-5 team like that.
Yeah. What about Ridgeway beating Haywood?
That bit you, didn't it, big guy?
It did, man.
I think I had Haywood also on that one.
I'm gonna stay with Haywood in this ball game. I like the Courtney Reed.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Hookfin's doing a good job. He's lost to Henry County, Dyersburg, and MUS.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. Three really
90% of the teams out there are not going to beat them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Haywood in this, and they got to get this region win.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you. I still would like to know what the heck happened with that O'Brien County.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It's odd. Kirby and Southwind Lee, and we had Kirby as a sleeper, if you'll remember, in our preseason discussion on Class 5A over in Region 8. Kirby already beaten 2 region teams. They sit at 3-1. They beat Ridgeway, they beat Brighton. A win here would lock up the region for them. However, a win for Southwind would create a 3-way tie in that region. I don't know. I'm leaning heavily toward Kirby. I mean, anytime, the way I look at it, Lee, they've got Jaden Johnson at quarterback. He's already committed to Louisville. If you got a Power 5 conference quarterback leading your high school team, man, with 9 starters back on offense, 8 on defense, you better watch out for this darn Kirby team, brother. I mean, the only loss they got was out of state. They lost to Olive Branch, Mississippi. This may be a team we're seeing cool this year.
Yeah, Olive
What do you think about that?
Ooh. 5A out of the West.
Yeah.
Think they got something for Henry County?
Well, that Henry County would probably be
or Clarksville,
northeast.
Northeast.
Northeast. I think that's the 2 teams they'll be competing with, and then don't rule beat. You got Beach, you got Hillsborough. I mean, you got a lot of good 5A teams. I'm just saying, keep an eye.
They represent the Memphis area.
They do. And,
I
they're
think
good.
you might be right.
They're good, brother.
I'm gonna go Kirby. Memphis is always hard to predict, though.
Yeah,
man.
they are. We don't really know a lot about them, do we?
Well, it's just hard to predict.
Yeah.
Their records and the way their schedules are all laid out. If you remember, we talked to Coach Salisbury. All their region games seem like they're stacked right there at the end of the season, and they go down to the wire. So you're looking at some teams that might be 5-0, 6-0, then they get into region play and get boat raced.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just hard to predict. But I like Kirby.
I like Kirby too. I think that Kirby team is a team we need to keep an eye on. Tennessee and Cocke County over in East Tennessee, and we're only going to do a couple more. Lee, we're just about out of time. This is Tennessee's 5-2, 2-1 in region play. Cocke County, much improved, 5-1, 1-1 in region play. They did lose to David Crockett. Tennessee's 2 losses were to Daniel Moon and Elizabethton. This potentially could be a good game, but I think the Vikings.
Question.
Yes.
Did the Fighting Cocks of Cocke County get 39 points better between last year and this year?
I don't think so.
I don't either. I'm going with Tennessee High Vikings.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that, Lee. You know, they got the same amount of starters back on both sides of the ball, and you're exactly right. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna go Vikings as well. Tennessee High, Science Hill, Hardin Valley. Hardin Valley 4-2, 2-0. They're playing some pretty good ball this year.
Yes, they are.
And this is a Region 1 6A matchup. Science Hill, dude, they have had a heck of a schedule. They've gotten beat by Elizabethton, Dobbins Bennett, Greenville, and Daniel Boone, all very tough games.
And Farragut.
And Farragut, they played Farragut close, though, 23-21 last week. I'm not I don't know which way I'm going to go with this one. Hardin Valley beat Jefferson County 38-35. Again, 2-0 in the region. I kind of think Science Hill's at a point where they've got to win this one.
I'm going to go with Science Hill on the road. I like Stacy Carter on the road tonight, or tomorrow night, I mean.
I do too. I'm going with you for the same reason. 41-35, Science Hill won this one last year. Lee, I got 3 games here. You pick one, brother, and we'll go over it, and we're going to call it done.
Let's go to the very last one.
Very last one. We got Midway and Harriman. Midway 5-1, 1-1 in region play. This is another Region 2 matchup, 1A. Harriman Harriman's been a tough team to predict. They beat Kingston. They beat Oneida.
Yeah.
Then they lose to Rockwood, a team that lost to Kingston and Oneida. So I don't really know what I'm going to get out of this Harriman team. That Oliver Springs team is very good. They played Greenback very close.
They did.
And Oliver Springs beats Harriman 20-14 last week. Who do you like in this one?
I like Midway close.
Midway close.
I do.
They dropped to Coalfield 22-13. So you like the Greenway?
I do. I like the quarterback. He's stingy.
Yeah.
He doesn't turn the ball over much.
Yeah, he's doing well. 840. We're talking about Jason Taylor.
Right.
845 yards passing, 9 TDs, and like you said, only 2 INTs. Anytime you got a senior quarterback with experience, that gives you an edge. I think I'm going to go the other way in this one, though, Lee, because I don't have a real good feel either way in this one. The Blue Devils are at home. And typically when I don't really have a firm feel either way, I go with the home team. Harriman won this game 41-6 last year, so that may be a bad matchup for them.
Maybe I'm gonna go with Midway.
All right, sounds good to me. All right, brother. Well, this is a Friday main event. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. Give us some feedback. Do you like this Thursday format? Is it better going to? And we're going to Greenville. We've already committed to that. We're going to Greenville. We'll be back on Friday next week at. I think we're going to go a half hour earlier, Lee, because they're in the Eastern time zone. So we'll probably be 4 o'clock Central Time, 4 to 6 next week. That way we don't run into their game, which obviously is at 7:30. So we want to be able to clear off the field, get out of the way before the game starts. So look for us at Greenville next week, 4 p.m. Central Time. And again, give us some feedback. We appreciate you guys putting the comments in. We were looking at them, and we'll be doing the same thing again next week. And like I said, give us some feedback. Lee and I think I kind of like this.
Yeah.
We might go 6 to 8 though. It's a little late, about our bedtime, ain't it?
Yeah, 6 to 8. 6 to 8 will
Might
work.
go 6 to 8 on Thursday. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Friday main event, Mike Mulder, Lee Teat. We appreciate you guys. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.